to the place where crime does not happen. It's not getting better. And what are we doing to make a difference? We're stuck in the darkness. But we're to bring light to the darkness. And where light is, darkness cannot dwell. Sometimes we sit back and we say, I wonder, how long will God tolerate the sin that goes on in the world? I mean, after all, I've even heard people say that if God tolerates much more, he's going to have to apologize to Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, I don't know if that's the case. I don't think God has to apologize to anybody. But that's my opinion. But what I'm wondering about is this. We think, hey, things are bad, but there's still some light in the world. When you stop and you think about it, in the days of Noah, when God sent the flood, when the flood actually came, there were 8 godly people left in the world that got aboard the ark, right? Well, let's think about another time. Things seemed to be bleak and dark during the days of Elijah, did it not? And you think about Elijah. You remember Elijah felt like he was the only one left. You remember when Jezebel declared that the sun wasn't going to go down on her, until she had killed Elijah? And what did Elijah do? He ran and he sat under a juniper tree and he looked up to God and prayed to God. Well, Lord, I'm the only one left. And God had to remind him of something, didn't he? You're not the only one, Elijah. There's 7,000 prophets who have not bent the knee to Baal. Just because you don't know them doesn't mean they're not there. So I'm not sure when I read that, and you know, one of the thoughts that comes to my mind is, was there only 7,000 righteous men left in the world during that time? And yet God still was long-suffering to them, was he not? Well, why do you think maybe God has not taken us out of this world? Because there's still work to be done for us. We still have much to accomplish. God knows full well the day that he's going to come. We don't know what day it is, but we know this. We are supposed to be busy being lights in the world. And we think about, you know, I talked about going up through Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area and seeing all those lights on the hillside, but isn't that what we're supposed to be in our community? Shouldn't there be little lights perking up from every little area where we're living, where we work, where we go every day? Shouldn't there be lights there that are shining bright for the cause of Christ? And so there's the light of the world. He said that light conquers darkness. Light conditions dreariness. We know something about dreariness here as of late, do we not? I mean, after all, most every day it rains. And the sun is something that's almost foreign to us. I looked out there and you see the sun this morning. Wasn't much sunlight yesterday afternoon when the clouds rolled in and the rain started pouring and the hail came. There wasn't seen much. But we've had so many dark and dreary days. And it's hard to be up during that time, is it not? It's hard to keep your spirits up. And it's difficult at that time. But we live in a dreary world. But folks, we're the sunshine. We're what lights the darkness in the world. And so it shouldn't impact us like that. Light conditions dreariness. The world can be a dreary place, but at the same time, we're to be the light of the world. And we ought to be have a powerful witness. Just as a church has a testimony, so do each one of us. People know us by company we keep. People know us by the light that we bear. People who are around us, they know what we stand for and what we put up with. The thing is, he goes on here in this particular passage, and he says, neither, in verse 15, neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light. And then he says, let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Now, wait a minute. Let's go back to the first thought there mentioned. Men can hide their light under a bushel. How do we do that? Well, there's several different ways. I'll give you a couple anyway. We hide our light under a bushel by fear, the bushel of fear. When you stop and you think about it, many times we do not witness to people around us. Why? We're afraid. We're afraid they may not accept us. Can I ask you a question? How many friends do you have? Now, I'm not talking about acquaintances. I'm talking about how many friends do you have that if you had messed up in the worst way and blown your testimony, that you could go to that person and you could sit down and you could talk to them about it. And they would not look down on you, nor would they judge you, nor criticize you. But they would put their arm around you and say, let's tell you what. They would give you wise counsel, and they would pray for you in your presence and out of your presence. If you needed help, they would be right there to help you. You could count on them. They would put aside something to come and help you. You say, well, preacher, I can count most people on less than a hand. Then why are you afraid of what that person's going to think of you when you witness to them? Does it matter? You might just win a friend for life, one of those people. Or you might lose the opportunity to live forever with that person in heaven. Sometimes we hide it under a bushel, the bushel of fear. Sometimes we just hide it under the bushel of apathy. What I mean by that is we just really don't care. I'm saved. I'm on my way to heaven. You find your own way. I wonder how many of us really care about the people around us and where they're going to spend eternity. Sometimes we're too busy. We've got a lot of stuff to do. And there's other times that we're just plain too lazy. It takes effort. But I don't want to. I like my recliner. I like my comfort zone. I don't like my day being upset. I used to work for the guy that he was like that. Man, if he come in one morning with a plan, and if something went wrong with the plan and he could not go by the plan, it was a long day because it just ruined his day. Sometimes if we're going to serve the Lord, we've got to alter the plan that we have for the day. We have to be flexible if we're going to let our light shine. Let's don't put our light under a bushel. Don't let it be hid. You know what will happen when you put it under a bushel, don't you? It needs oxygen. Fire needs oxygen, does it not, to burn? Well, you close off the oxygen, the light goes out. Let's don't hide our light under a bushel, but he says here, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father. By the way, you don't do them to be seen of men, but at the same time, we do them, then men see them, and they see that, and it can be instrumental in drawing them to Christ. And so he taught us, one, that we are the salt of the earth. He taught us that we are the light of the world. And folks, if we are going to do even one part, if just preservation, if we can preserve the world, maybe that's why God has not come. There's still enough light in the world. There's still enough salt in us, in Christians, that hey, we still can impact the world. Let's don't let our salt lose its savor. Let it not be something to be trodden underfoot of men. Let's turn the light up. She fusses at me all the time. So I'll go into the bathroom and I'll jump in the shower and I won't turn the light on. And she'll come in there for something. I can't believe why don't you ever turn a light on? I'll go in the kitchen to do something. I'm fiddling around there in the dark. By the way, she would have really been upset with me last night because I'm sitting in the dark trying to figure out how to work the remote control. Couldn't see the numbers on it. It's a wonder the thing even worked at all. It was pitch black in there too.
I'm the same way with Eddie. He doesn't know how to work my TV.
But here, folks, sometimes that's what we do in our spiritual life, is it not? We walk in the darkness with the light turned off. And the only way the world is going to be able to see is we have to turn the light on. Let your light so shine. Remember the little song that they used to sing? I guess it was a children's song. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Used to sing that in the children's department at Capillary Baptist Church all the time. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Not going to let Satan get out. I'm going to let it shine. and that's what we have to do. Be what we are. If we have been saved by the grace of God, let's be salt to add flavor to the world. Let's let our light shine so that others can see Him in us and they'll be drawn to Him as a result. If they don't see anything different, why do they want us? Why do they want what we have? How can I tell them how great what I have is no better if it's no better than what they have? And so he said, be light and be salt. Is that what we really want to be? Light and salt? These are some of the things that Jesus taught. We think about that. And as we think about this morning, what kind of an influence? Let's bring it down to where we are and to who we are. What kind of an influence do you have among the people around you? Father, this morning, I pray that you might speak to our hearts. Lord, that we might have been motivated this day to put within our hearts the desire to be salt and light in this world. To let our light shine. that others might see you in us and not just us. Lord, that we might have a boldness to share our faith with others, that they too might know the joy of being saved. I pray today, Lord, that when we walk out these doors, that we'll realize that we are just entering the work field, and that the harvest truly is plenteous, and we as the laborers are few. We'll go out, Lord, and do our part to bring forth a harvest. I pray these things in Christ's name.